Welcome back, guys. I've got my wife, Denise, with us today. She has been shooting with weddings with me since, what, 1985?
Probably.
So that's, you can do the math. That's a lot of years. But, I've told you guys time after time how important it is, if you're a photographer, to go and learn. If you're just starting, you want to go a year or so as a second shooter to a wedding so you can learn what's going to happen in real life. So that way, when you get to your wedding, you're confident of what's going on. And then I've said what's really important when you go out, start shooting weddings on your own, is you have somebody with you that knows what they're doing. Denise is not only a second shooter, that she can use the camera better than she thinks she can. She's a wedding coordinator. She can pose. She can pretty much do everything, but I couldn't quite get her to do everything and let me stay home and watch college football, but she could have done it.
Not really.
But I think, to me, the most important thing with having her there was her posing, because from my angle, that let me stay behind the camera and do everything I needed to do to make the picture look good and kind of see what was going on around her. As she was focused on people, I was focused on different people, and I was kind of watched what was going on to see what was about to happen, and it allowed me to stay behind the camera.
I think it's more of a time consideration than anything else when you have a team to shoot weddings, especially because posing takes time, and you have to actually a lot of times go up to the people and explain to them, because they don't normally take directions very well.
And we've talked about this in previous videos.
Right.
You have to show people, because they don't know what to do with their hands. They don't, and if you just say, just be yourself, they're like, well, where do I put my hands? In my pocket. Nobody, people need to know these things. They need to feel confident. When you just tell them to be their self, they're like, okay, I'm myself. So you just kind of tell them, here's what you do with your arms, or put your arm, if it's husband or wife, put your arm around the back, something like that. So, but she's really good at all that. She's got it down.
Well, and I think it, again, is just allows Daniel to stay behind the camera, not have to come out and show people how to pose, or he can always say, I need somebody to be shifted over a little bit more, but a lot of times they can't do that on their own. They don't know which direction you're wanting them to tilt their head, and even if you tell them, they don't always do it the correct way, or
Exactly.
It's easier for me to step in frame and to help them get them set exactly where they need to be, fix jewelry, the things that are those details that I would see, but that maybe Daniel would not see. The clasp is turned around on someone's necklace, or earrings are crooked, or somebody's hair is not placed right on their shoulders. Those types of things I can do easily while he stays behind the camera, and he can be taking those pictures quickly. So I think...
Now, just to make one thing clear, you guys, we don't do weddings anymore. I think we did our last wedding in December, with either last year or the year before, I don't remember. But that, we still like to share what we did, because we did it for so long and it worked so well. So, the same principles still work, and it's mostly a million reasons why we don't do weddings anymore, but I'm getting old is the biggest reason.
And it takes a lot of time to completely shoot a wedding from beginning to end, especially as
big
couples. They have greater expectations as far as the types of pictures that they want. They want more pictures from before the wedding and lots of pictures after the wedding for larger families. So it takes more time to get the whole day photographed, as opposed to just a few hours of photography that used to be more common.
Yeah, and I was talking a couple weeks ago how the weddings changed from the 80s. 80s was 35 millimeter a lot, and then we jumped into medium format in the 90s, and we only would take 10 rolls of film with us, and there was 15 shots per roll. That's 150 shots per wedding. You can't do just the groomsmen 150 shots anymore. You're going to get yelled at. So, we took, each shot meant something back then. It was a slower pace, but when she was setting up a family shot, it was set up the bride and groom. This person, everybody that goes in their certain spot. It took time to set these shots up. It wasn't just firing away 90 miles an hour like it is now. Everybody just called spray and pray. So it's, it took time, and everybody understood that those shots took time. And we would shoot one or two, because, we couldn't see the picture like you can now. So we would, if it was a big group, we would shoot 2 shots to make sure that one of them had everybody eyes open.
Eyes open, we hope, yes. Yeah. So, and occasionally you got the
Some-
shots that you got just had somebody's
Yep.
eyes closed them, and they just picked the best one.
Yeah, one picture might have somebody's eyes closed, and one picture might have somebody else's eyes closed. So, as I remember, as the Photoshop started coming out, we were able to do small things like change the eyes and stuff, but that was not in the 80s or the 90s. That was early 2000.
Right.
But not only with her posing, her shooting the bride when we get there. When she goes into the bridal room, it's much easier to send a lady in there as they're getting dressed and doing all that stuff. Some of them, not everybody, but a lot of brides don't want guys in there. And she goes in with the camera and she can shoot and she can help them and she does it all.
And the pictures in the mirrors and the ones of them
She definitely knows how to bounce flash. So if you guys have any questions,
getting the bride dressed, that is always an iffy situation for some brides who are self-conscious of having a male photographer in at that time. So it just worked out. It worked out better for us to be able to split those responsibilities, and it allowed, again, a time savings, because while I was shooting the bride and all of her bridesmaids and those before pictures, he could be shooting the males and the groom, and it just allowed us to get both of those times in a quicker fashion.
Yeah, and back in the 80s and 90s, the bride and groom almost never saw each other before the wedding. And then that changed, I don't know what, but early 2000s,
Early
late 90s.
2000s, people started understanding.
It was kind of a slow thing for us. It didn't just take off overnight. It just kind of started slowly and it caught on. That was our area. I don't know what it was like around the world or anything, but for our area at the time, and we kind of liked it, or I know I did. I like to go ahead and getting all that out of the way, because you can do all that before the ceremony. Then you're set once the ceremony is over. You just going along for the ride on the reception. And she's awesome with the reception too. She poses awesome. She can do hair and makeup too. So if anybody needs hair and makeup done. But she would go in, take pictures of the bride, do the bride's hair and makeup. She would direct the wedding.
Sometimes
she would, but she could do all this.
If they had not paid to have somebody perform that, then between Daniel and I, we could at least stick to a timeline and make sure that everything got done according to that timeline.
We had one church. It was a huge church, and the lady that was the church director, she was one of those pretty stiff people, She didn't really like us at first, but then as she got to know us, she was like, "Oh, good, y'all are here." And then the better she got to know us, she would see us both. She was like, "Oh, good, I can go home." The lady over, I won't name the church, but yeah, it was pretty funny how that one worked out. She went from not really liking us to seeing us and, "Oh, good, I can go home." So that's how good she was at doing her job. And not only you posed, you shot the pictures. The posing was huge for me. We would not have been able to get, I don't know how these photographers can do it by themselves, but try to do it. I just don't.
It's a lot of explanation and waiting on the bride and the groom to change their position, and then a lot of more candid shots where you get those moments of them laughing or smiling
Surprise.
or kissing each other, or just those looks that they give one another. Those are still a major part of the pictures, but Daniel could do that a lot easier because he was able to stay behind the camera.
Yeah, I was talking about this just the other day on the video.
Instead of having to walk back and forth to show them what to do or to talk them through how to pose, I can do that, and he can stay behind the camera and get all those interesting
unexpected shots. And nobody even knows you got until they see their pictures. Like, "Oh, we didn't know you got that," and it makes it really cool, 'cause it's cool to give them stuff that they like. They didn't even know was happening. So what was to you was the most fun part or the hardest part? Or
I believe the hardest part was making sure that you knew the family well enough and you had asked enough questions before beginning to photograph the wedding so that you knew parents were divorced and didn't have good relationships.
We learned that the hard way back many years ago.
just knowing ahead of time a lot of the relationships that are going to be present the day of the wedding. It just helps you to better organize and to help them be more comfortable as they go through the wedding. And of course, knowing ahead of time what shots the bride and the groom are absolutely, they are necessary for them to have. So things that you just can't afford to miss, which we made sure that we got those main shots anyway. So that the hardest part was just making sure that you had a lot of information before the wedding to enable us to do a better job for the bride and the groom. And probably the easiest was the receptions, because those are
A lot less stressful.
very, free to move about, and everybody's having a good time, and it's very easy to capture those candid moments at a reception.
I'd hand her the camera for about 15 minutes, hand her my camera, and I'd go lay down somewhere
Get
for about
something to
15
drink.
minutes.
Yes, take a little break.
As I got older,
That's a good thing.
But yeah, it's very important for you guys that are doing weddings. And weddings are a lot different. We saw the 80s weddings different than the 90s. The thousands were different than, I don't know what, the teens, whatever that's called. And now we're in the 20s, and good Lord, it's changed a lot. It's so much more fast paced, I think, now.
And I
like
think
you're talking,
technology has changed so much. It is very commonplace now that brides and grooms expect not only photography, but also videography of their wedding. And a lot of people are, using drones now to get those overhead shots of the venue. And it's just a lot more complicated to fully cover a wedding the way that you should than it was in our time.
Yeah. But also the cameras that going from film to digital, when you were shooting film, you had to know what it was going to look like without seeing it. You had to know, when I took that shot, okay, this is exactly what it's going to look like, without ever seeing it for a week or so. Now you can see your pictures, so it makes photography a little easier now. There's still stuff you have to know, but then you keep throwing stuff on top of it, like she was saying, oh, video. Well, people don't understand that videographers and photographers are two different completely things. And then you throw in the drones. My God, I've flown drones. I've wrecked half of them. I put one in the ocean.
Put a couple in the water.
One in the lake and one in the ocean. So there's two if y'all want to go looking for them. But I can't imagine flying a drone over somebody's wedding. Good Lord. It would be not good. I don't know if the insurance would cover that. But yeah, it's super important that you have somebody to go with you, somebody that you can depend on, that'll be on time, and somebody that knows what they're doing. So you'll need to find, luckily I married mine, so I didn't have any excuse. So.
And there are a lot more couples now that we see, photographers who do what we do, and I think it does.
Teams. It seems to be a lot of
there
teams.
There are a lot of teams, but a lot of those teams you probably just don't know that it's husband and wife teams included in that, because just naturally you work better together. You know each other so well that you can read each other very well, and so it's easier to work together and to get that great end product, because you help one another to do the things that you need to.
So anyway, guys, I just wanted to, I know y'all have seen Denise on their program before, but I just wanted to bring, it's been a while. She's been trying to pretend like she's working. But, I just wanted to tell you guys how good she was and have her talk. I knew that she would have something to add. I talk about second shooters all the time. I talk about having an assistant and all that, but I want to actually show you and let you hear from one that I knew very well. So is everything they need to know?
I think you've covered it all.
Okay. I think, going back to what you were saying, the husband, wives, and the teams, it seems like now, back then you would hire a photographer, would be separate from a videographer. Now places are kind of crossed together. You go and they will have a videographer and a photographer there. And they might come in, you might only go to one place, but you'll get, one to do video and one to do photography. And cameras now can do 8K and sound, and also it makes it much easier if you're not a professional videographer. And I'm not saying if you're not a videographer, run out and video a wedding. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it makes it easier to video now with the cameras that'll do all the video and stuff. Back then it used to have to be video cameras and sound was complicated, and I'm glad all those days are past. But anyway, I think that's what we're seeing, either the teams or the families, or either the teams and the husband and the wives.
Right.
So, okay.
Okay.
Appreciate you guys listening. If we can help you out, if you have any questions, just leave it down at the bottom and we'll help you out. We appreciate your time. You guys have a good day.